So we are up and running. Hello, and good to see you again, Robyn.
You too.
Welcome to the second installment of Zoom to the Vendors. As you know, my name is Matt. I'm with White Tie Affairs, and we're here just to chat about what you were doing and how you're surviving through the COVID-19 and see what's going on and learn more about what you're doing. So
Cool.
why don't you start and tell us who you are, where you're from, and all that stuff.
My name is Robyn Barkley. I'm the owner of Robyn Barkley Photography. Plus, I have a private group for ladies called Love Lashes and Lingerie, where I run a group that is all about empowering women and helping women to feel loved and safe and feel that they're amazing, to let them see the true beauty about themselves. So that's what I've been up to and or who I am, I guess.
Okay.
I am a mom. I have 3 kids. And so hopefully the little one won't wake up while we're on the call.
No problem. We know that life happens.
Yes.
But that's not how we met. We actually met through the wedding industry.
Yes, we did.
How did you end up going from the wedding industry to what you're currently doing with boudoir photos?
Boudoir. Well, I still do weddings here and there, but it's not my focus because ultimately when like probably the last 2 or 3 weddings that I shot, the girls were asking me for boudoir, and I knew that I didn't really pursue it because not enough people were asking for it. So I just wasn't trying to make it like my full-time thing.
Sure.
But when I moved over here to, I live in Bonita Springs now, which is the west coast of Florida.
Right.
When we moved over to Bonita, I really wasn't very successful with getting clients over here because everything I knew is in Palm Beach. So I was like constantly going back over to Palm Beach to still do shoots and weddings and things like that. And so I felt like I needed to have something that was more sustainable and that I could start fresh with.
Right.
So that's why I kind of started the boudoir, knowing that I had a good talent with it and that women always felt so confident after their sessions. So I just felt like it was what I needed to jump into, and it was kind of scary because I decided to educate myself and I spent a lot of money.
Isn't that always the case?
Yeah, ended up not being really worth the money, but I did get a lot out of it, and I was able to really make a successful run. So now it's definitely more sustainable, and I'm able to really work one-on-one with people instead of always having so many things happening at once. So I can have less people, so I can concentrate more on the ladies that do come through.
Right.
I have more time to actually retouch my images to make them beautiful for the ladies. And, I like to make sure that they still look like themselves. They don't look like porcelain dolls, but that their skin is smooth and radiant and just makes them look their best. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you went over to Bonita Springs, the wedding industry doesn't exist much over there, or was it just hard to get the work?
Yeah, it does. It's just a matter of it's already flooded with amazing wedding photographers here. So
Gotcha.
I tried to at least jump in by like just trying to second shoot for people.
Sure.
Just so I could stay with it. But it was harder to like, I never really been good with marketing. So with knowing so many people in Palm Beach was easy for me because I was the one they referred. Everybody was like, hey, ask Robyn. She's great at that. She could do your wedding. And so it was more of a much slower role of like trying to jump into groups and saying who I was and like, kind of advertising and things like that. But I wasn't really ever very good at that stuff until I got the education.
Right, because you'd have to start really from scratch in Bonita, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
But
with nobody knowing you, there's no referrals. There's no, like, it's jumping in those groups. Everybody's like, pick her, pick her, pick her, pick her, pick them, pick him, pick.
mhm,
And so it was always like throwing my name in, but nobody really would pay attention. There's a lot of people. Once you have your name is out there, it's easier because people are like, oh, I've heard her name before. I can
right,
trust her.
right.
So, yeah,
But you've carved out your own little niche now with the boudoir images and stuff like
yeah,
that. That's
definitely.
wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. How intense do you get with those types of images? Like, do you, like, what's the range of stuff that you've done without getting too graphic or anything like that, for those types of images, the boudoir pictures?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, women prefer to be clothed in lingerie,
Mhm,
but I have had ladies do like an in the sheet session, or a portion of their session is like in the sheets. So they'll be virtually naked,
mhm,
but they're using the sheet as their outfit. So
right.
they kind of hide behind that. And we have like strategic poses so
Mhm,
that, you know, there's nothing showing that she wouldn't want to. Especially because, a lot of the girls that come in, they're giving me permission to share them in my private boudoir group, or maybe even my personal group, my personal, professional page
right.
on Facebook. So, I try to do a variation. So I try to start off with like an actual solid outfit.
Okay.
And then I'll go through, and I always tell the ladies to bring like a lot of accessories. So they might bring like a leather jacket, or they might bring an oversized sweater so it can hang off their shoulder. Um, they might bring like a jersey for like a
Right.
sports team.
Mhm.
Some have even brought like props. Like I had one girl bring a golf clubs, and I had one bring drumsticks. And one of my most recent ones brought her husband's fire chief helmet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and his like actual like
I'm
kind of
sure
more like
there's
a,
some level of trouble that he could get into with that one.
I don't know.
I don't
I mean,
know.
I had to hide the name on the jacket,
Okay.
but like so it was the jacket wasn't like the fire jacket. It was more of like the military jacket that had this, like
Gotcha. So there were no like
his
identifying marks or anything like that.
right.
You were able
We
to
had to
cover
make
it up.
sure. Yeah, we had to make sure that we didn't put anything like that on there. Um, but yeah, so that one was really fun because one of them I had her laying underneath the helmet,
Hmm.
and the visor that comes down, there's like a small plastic visor that kind of goes like that.
Hmm.
So it's kind of laying over her eyes.
Okay.
And we kind of after we took the picture, I showed it to her best friend because it was actually a boudoir party. So we'll
Okay.
talk about that if you want to. But the girl, for her girlfriend, was like, I love this picture. No, it's like you're looking through his eyes. And so it was like
Okay.
really cool because it's like the visor was just right there. So she was looking straight out of the visor, like what he would see, how he would see
Hmm.
the world through his visor and his,
Right.
going
Right.
to a fire. So it was just really sentimental, and really like that's what I always try to, make sure that everything that we do has connection personally.
Right.
So that way when they see themselves in those images, they're like, whoa, like there's the true beauty that I never saw in myself, but everybody
Hmm.
else is always saying, like, you're so beautiful, you're this, you're that. And they can actually see that because now we've taken their personality and portrayed it through the images. But I've also shown her like how beautiful her figure is the way it is.
Right. Right.
So,
Now,
but
when
yeah.
you for the day that you're shooting, does it start from like the most clothes and then works your way down to whatever they decide, or do
No,
you have like different sets, depending on the woman that you're working with?
yeah, so it really depends what they bring. I typically, like, I'll tell them to bring like everything. Bring your kitchen sink if you want.
Mm,
Like, just pack a suitcase, throw it all in there.
right.
Like, throw in jewelry, throw in, if you have like stockings, if you have like knee highs, or the whatever those little scrunchy socks that go on now I'm just forgetting the name of it, but anyways, like leg warmers,
Leg warmers. Yeah, like
um, you know,
Uggs from the 90s and 80s.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Bring all of your shoes, like just throw them all in, like throw and make a separate bag and bring all your shoes.
Hmm.
So I really, when they're getting their hair and makeup done, I have a professional hair and makeup stylist that come in. and they prepare the girls to look amazing. And so while they're doing that, I'll go ahead and empty out their bags, and I'll put them out all on the bed, and I'll choose the different outfits that they brought. So they usually get 3 choices, but a lot of times I end up having 5 out of what they bring, because I'm like, I can't decide. I like all of it, so I'm going to just go with more. And accessories kind of like make it tie into a new outfit or things like that. So it's really cool. That's one of my favorite parts, is just like playing with their clothes. And I'm like, can you come back for 3 more sessions? Because I want to do this one and this one and this one. But I think we'll just do these 3 for now,
Right.
But yeah, so it's the hair and makeup is, about an hour to an hour and a half. And they'll put like the lashes on, and they'll get done up the way because they get to choose if they want their hair to be like more natural, totally straight, or if they want like kind of big sexy curls. Gotcha. And then they can choose if they want like sexy or natural with a touch of sexy, or if they want like full on sexy, or right. different styles of makeup. I give them the choices. So they do like a questionnaire beforehand, so that they kind of tell me what they're thinking they would like. And sometimes they're like, I don't know, let the stylist choose. Like I'm totally letting them, turn me into, whatever they want me to look like. So I want to be adorned. That's all I care about.
Right.
So a lot of the ladies, will choose, the big curls, but a lot of times they're like, I trust the makeup artist. I trust the hairstylist. So
now, are the makeup artists and the hairstylist part of your packages, or are they the ones that they come in with?
No. So it's when you book a session with me, there's the only upfront cost is a $99 retainer, which allows me to put your date on the calendar. And then from there, that $99 is applied to whatever the person purchases. So they don't lose anything, and the makeup and hair is included. So nice. All they have to do is buy a collection, and they'll get to see their pictures the same day. So it's really great. They don't have to wait for anything. They just have to, there's just about a 45-minute window between their actual session and the viewing and ordering session where I'm editing the pictures.
Oh, wow.
That's the only time that they have to wait. So it's instant gratification.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because I mean, yes. in other industries, I've seen people wait months, weeks, if not months, to get just a glimpse of their images. So you're giving them that, that microwave society. You're giving them that quick, that quick result.
Yeah,
which is wonderful.
Mean, they're not fully retouched at that point, obviously, because if I did that, then I would have to say, come back in 2 weeks. But it just that doesn't seem to make sense to me, because that's a lot of time that I might spend retouching images. And I know for sure they're not going to buy 50 or 60 images.
Right.
Typically most of my clients buy between 20 and 40, sometimes in the 50s, but not usually. That's typically they narrow it down to 40. And it's just the way my collections are set up. And also because your book will look crowded if you have more than 40 images. Okay. So unless they are cool with just buying extra pages and don't care, they just unlimited pages, they can go for 50 or 60 images if they really want to. Some people have loved that many pictures, but they end up narrowing it down. It just looks better. It's the album is too cluttered if you choose too many.
And where do you shoot? Do you shoot in their homes? Do you
I have a home studio.
You have a home studio, so it's all there. Have you gone to their particular studio, like their place, to take photos as well?
I've done it one time with a client when I first started over here. Otherwise, it's been like if I'm shooting a wedding, I'll do a quick boudoir session depending on the timing. So typically we'll book, so if I book an 8-hour day with the couple, then that's usually at least 30 minutes broken down in the getting ready section.
Right.
Sometimes I only have 10 minutes. Sometimes I have an hour. So it really just depends. But typically, since I've started over here full time with it, it's always been in my home studio.
Okay. Well, I kind of like that idea, because it's a little more of a safety net for you.
Yeah.
It's a controlled environment.
Too.
Yeah,
it is.
It's a controlled environment, which is great.
And it's
So,
very personal for them. So they feel really at home because they're
right.
like, oh, I am at home, you know?
So tell me about the types of packages that you have.
So I have all of my collections have a digital product and
Mhm.
a physical product. So each one goes up starting with 5 and then goes up to 20. And
5 images.
5 digital images and
Got it.
5 of whatever. So like my first collection has something called a styrene mounted print. So
Okay.
it's kind of like a thicker, like if you can see that, a thicker print, but it's mounted onto like, it's not really foam core. It's almost plastic, but it looks like wood. It's really strange.
Okay.
It's hard
So
to
it's
describe, but it doesn't bend
right.
really.
So it's not entirely poster board, but it's more durable.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's beautiful. They're really nice. And so if you want to have something that like that comes in like a little personalized box. So if you want something that's just like a little, small collection of what you're doing, and maybe I think more people do that when they know they're going to do multiple sessions
Hmm.
and they don't want to make multiple books. So if they were to choose just 5 images from maybe 5 to 7 or something like that, they might choose a few and then have them printed on that styrene, and then they can have like all their images in that collection box, which is really cute. And then it goes all the way up to the 20, and then that one has like, I wish I had a sample of it, but it's an absolutely gorgeous deluxe album, an heirloom album that is just insane. It's I can't give away too much about it because there's 2 surprises that come with it, but the album is nice and thick and durable, and it's just the coloring and everything is just so rich.
So what we can do with that is, if you want, you can send me a link or images of samples.
Sure.
And when we post this, because this will be posted on Facebook
Right.
after we're done here, I can add a couple of those samples for you so everybody can see exactly what you're talking about.
That's awesome. Yeah.
All right. So outside of running your own business
Mm-hmm.
and having your 3 kids, what makes you tick? Like what is your downtime?
Honestly, photography. Like I just am so obsessed. It's funny because when I was first married, I really didn't know what I was going to want to do when I grew up. I was
Mhm.
just like, I was 22 and I just could not, for the life of me, have a successful job. And I would always get so frustrated with other people and
Mhm.
like how they behaved at work. And just, I was ready to figure out what that thing was going to be, but I really had no clue. And when my husband and I were going through some hard times, I went ahead and I was like, listen, I'm going to go to New Hampshire for 6 months. My whole family lives up that way. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to get a job and I'm going to figure out what I need to do with my life. And so I went up there and I worked for Olin Mills, and we did church directories, and I just fell in love with it. I never even thought photography was ever going to be a possible career for me. And so I just like, I don't really, outside of like, I mean, obviously I should not say that's the only thing that makes me tick, but I am a believer. So I love going to church and
Mhm.
hanging out with my church friends and stuff like that. But, and just hanging out with friends in general.
Right.
But yeah, photography is just like, I live and breathe it most of the time. So
So you found your love of photography by printing out church magazines. Am I understanding you right?
I mean, kind of. I went to New Hampshire and they hired me as the photographer, and then the company as a whole made the books.
Right,
But
right.
like what I would do is I would take the pictures, and then there'd be a sales session that they would go to, and they'd get to their free print, and then
Hmm.
they'd pick which pictures they liked to buy. So that's how I figured out that I wanted to be a photographer.
Okay. See, I've known you for a little while now. That's something new, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, well, we never really have time at a wedding to talk about stuff like that. So
That's true. It's maybe 30 minutes when we're shoveling food in our face,
exactly.
during dinner. So yeah, that's very true. Very true. And you're married. So
Yep.
what's your husband doing now? What is he up to?
My husband is a kitchen manager,
Okay.
which I'm very excited about because it took him forever to finally get a management position. Um, but he, finally found someone that was going to give him the opportunity.
Hmm.
So we moved here because he was given the opportunity to be a head chef,
Oh, wow.
which
Okay.
meant that he put the whole menu together.
Hmm.
Um, and the restaurant was starting fresh, like as a brand new restaurant.
Okay.
The owner was usually like purchased Italian restaurants that needed help, that were kind of struggling. So
Okay.
he'd buy a restaurant to help get it back on its feet, and then he'd still have ownership. And so he would use the money that he made from that restaurant and put it into a new restaurant.
Hmm.
And like I said, it's typically ones that were already, operating. So they may not have completely been in the green, but they were mostly doing okay. Like they'd still be making money.
Right.
So when he invested in this American restaurant, he really didn't count the cost. He had no idea that it would cost over $1 million to open a new
Oh,
restaurant.
right.
So he ran out of money fast. So
Hmm.
right after the Hurricane Irma
Hmm.
happened, he lost his job. And
I remember
we
he was going back and forth to Palm Beach at one point, right, for work,
no
or you were going back and forth.
so yeah, I was always going back and forth just from here, but like he went down to Miami for a week to create the menu
Hmm.
for the restaurant, and then he came over here to Fort Myers, or Naples really. um, let's see, 2 weeks after Jasmine was born. So my daughter's 3 now, but like we moved over when Jasmine was 5 weeks old.
Right. Right. I remember. I remember.
So that was crazy because I was recovering from a C-section. It took me so much longer to recover because of all the moving.
Mm.
Um, and so I really had to move myself. Like I had to do all of it while I'm nursing and I'm like recovering, and I've got all these, responsibilities to get the house back to where we should have been leaving it. And
Right.
we didn't, unfortunately.
Right.
So, yeah. So, 5 months later, he lost his job, and we're like, well, we can't move back because there's no money to go
Right.
back, and like we still have a lease, so we'd have to pay a lot of money to break
Right.
that, and all the money for the moving costs were just ridiculous. So
And
we're
you
like,
found and you found a way to make it happen,
we did,
which
we
is
did.
great.
We're still here, and this next month we're celebrating 20 years of marriage. So
Well, congratulations on that. That on its own is a testament
yeah,
to the, what's the word I'm looking for?
trying times that we went through.
No, just not the trying times. That's a testament to the fortitude that you guys have.
Yeah,
You stuck it out and you did everything you needed to do
yeah.
to make it work. Now, I have been avoiding this conversation because it's all over the place, but how have you been surviving? What have you been doing during this whole lockdown, COVID-19 type of thing? Has work impacted you a whole lot? Are you still booking or?
I haven't really been booking as much as I'd like to. I did have a good run over the like 3 weeks where I had a good amount of sessions book.
Mhm.
So it kind of carried me over. I was able to get some things taken care of. I was able to get the EIDL loan, so at least there's that money is there.
Right.
And thankfully, finally, unemployment came through just before that. So
Mhm.
I really like, because I had installments throughout for my boudoir stuff, and
Mhm.
I had I think I had one wedding that was still making payments. So I had several people that were still, making payments throughout the whole COVID from the beginning. Plus having that boudoir session, the boudoir party that I did.
Mhm.
Um, and then I've had, like, I stay very constant in my group. So
Right.
that really helps to keep my name out there, because then the people that are in that group are pretty often referring me if they see somebody asking for a photographer.
Right.
So that helps. At least I'm getting in front of people,
Right.
even if
And you
I'm
have
not
that, and you
booking.
have that network.
Yeah. So even if I'm not really booking all the time, I'm at least getting in front of people and they're considering it.
Right.
So it's really helpful. And I still have people calling me from Palm Beach. So I still come over. And, but yeah, I mean, things haven't been terrible. They could definitely be better, but
Well, keep in mind, everybody is in a very similar situation.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
whether it's, the wedding industry or the service industry on a whole, many of us, are in similar situations. So it's not an isolated case.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is intended to kind of make you feel better, but it's not an isolated case because everybody's kind
Yeah.
of feeling it.
Well,
Um,
and it seems like for me too that when I really think about it, I'm kind of thankful that I really pushed hard to jump both feet in, like just to
mhm,
kind of say, okay, I have to do this full time. Like this is it. Like if I'm going to do this, I need to make it my number one. So jumping into boudoir, there's a lot of people that are still considering doing a boudoir shoot even through the whole pandemic,
right.
because the people that are booking with me typically have that excess money,
Mm,
and they're not concerned about coming and being in a room with one or two other people. So like
right.
it's not really threatening, um, for them to come and get their hair and makeup done and then to work with me for the hour. So they're not really coming into contact with more than one person at a time,
Right.
and so a lot of people are still willing to do the boudoir shoots, which has been
Now,
great. It
have,
sucks for weddings though, because you
yeah.
can't have
Oh
that
no,
many people at a wedding.
that's
You have
true.
to space them out if you do have a wedding. A
Right.
lot of
But
vendors are canceling, and it's
yes,
crazy.
yes. I mean, you saw the setup for the wedding I did over there in Bonita Springs,
Yep.
and it was interesting. I mean, that was intended to be 250 people, and it ended
Yeah.
up being 50 people.
Yep.
Social distance ceremony.
Mhm.
Party ended up being fine, and everybody had a good time. But the wedding industry definitely has taken a hit.
Yeah, severely.
Question for you: how have you had any shy clients, like very introverted individuals, come to you on the side and say, "Hey, listen, my husband's birthday or our anniversary is coming up, and I kind of want to do something, but I don't know how." Is that common, or are they more extroverted and more open about doing things like that?
I've probably, out of 25 clients, I probably only had 3 that were like, from the moment they got here, like over the top, like excited and just really just on the ball. Um, Everyone comes. There's one of the girls, just I will never forget this. She was on her way here. She lived, a lot of my girls end up coming from like an hour to an hour and a half away.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they're really dedicated to coming to me, which is really a blessing. But she lived about an hour and a half away, I think, maybe an hour. But she was coming on her way, and so I called her because I think she was running late or something. And she's like, you know what? There's been at least 3 times where I almost turned my car around to go home. And I'm like, just keep driving. I promise you're not going to regret it. And she's already ready to, like, she lost her jobs. So she wasn't able to book her second
Right.
session when she was planning to.
Right.
But she was like, while we were in the middle of her session, she's like, I'm totally booking another session. So, everybody comes like scared out of their minds. They're just nervous. They're shaking. They don't really know what's going to happen or how to expect like the way that I'm going to talk to them or like
Mhm,
move them, or if I'm going to be like fixing stuff on them,
mhm.
like, but every time before I start, I always say, is it okay if I touch you to make adjustments? Are you
Mhm,
okay if I'm fixing your straps and that type of thing? And they're like,
mhm.
yep, I'm all yours. um,
See shy people, you can get a boudoir photo too.
yeah, I
Robyn will
mean,
take care of you.
literally, like as soon as they get in the chair to do their makeup, they start to kind of unwind a little bit. But usually there's some of them are still a little tense until we really start going. And so once we
Mhm,
start doing the session, and I'm directing them like every step of the way, I'll tell them exactly where to put their hands, where to put their feet, how to move their legs. Like their whole body is going to be posed very specifically and professionally so that they look their best.
mhm.
And so that their features that they want to show are showing, and the features they want to hide a little bit are hiding.
Right.
um, so yeah, like I think it's just like that connection
Yeah.
when they feel and they sense that I'm a safe that it's a safe environment and that I'm a safe person, that they can trust me.
Mhm.
It's like I show them the first picture and they're like, that's me. What?
Mm.
You know, and so then they start to realize, okay, I could do this, I can do this. And then they just keep following the prompts. And, you know, a lot of times they like, it's a little rougher through the whole session, like with the posing, because they're trying to understand what I'm saying. But once I start showing them the poses myself, like I'll lay down and show them, okay, this is where I want you to be, or I'll lean up against my, you know, a chair or like a wall or something like that. And I'm like, this is what you want to do here. Then they almost instantly are like right into the pose. So
Now, when we were in Naples and you stopped by our event, you had mentioned something that I had not heard before, and that's the word boudoir photos.
boudoir.
How different would a boudoir session for a woman be than from a guy? Like if, say, a guy wanted to do something for his anniversary or for his wife or something like that.
Well,
What would that look like?
it wouldn't be a lot different. Really, like they get to choose their bedding. So whatever colors they're looking for. We're going to do a little bit of makeup just to make sure there's no shine and stuff like that.
Right.
They might work on his hair if it's necessary or if he wants them to. Like if he just wants to be extra pampered, he can. He's welcome to do the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, it really wouldn't change a whole lot. You know, we play music so that everybody feels comfortable and gets to kind of jam out and like really get into the vibe of it. You know, the posing might be a little bit different, but it's definitely more masculine than bringing out the feminine features. We're going to bring out the masculine features.
Right.
And being a female, you know, my mind thinks differently than if I was a male photographer and how those poses would look. So really the difference is just coming from a woman's point of view, and bringing out that sexy body, you know, and showing off the, you know, the more like, maybe not like as much full body. We might do more detail shots for a guy than we would a female. Like I try to do female detail shots, but I sometimes get into a vibe of doing other things. So don't always do as much details, but I like to do them. So.
Okay. We are just about out of time. But please let me know share your website information. What is your website?
It's www and then Robyn, ROBYN, Barkley, BARKLEY, photography.com. I try to make everything super simple. So if you wanted to go to find me on Facebook, it's just Robyn Barkley Photography. It will come up with like of Southwest Florida or something, South Florida, whatever. And then my email is robyn@robynbarkleyphotography.com. So, and then my boudoir group, if you're interested in joining, to be empowered and to be uplifted and just have a really great time. We do a lot of giveaways too. So there might be something you might win if you come into the group.
Oh, she's got prizes.
Got prizes. And they're usually really, really good. But the group name is Love, Lashes, and Lingerie.
Okay. Well, Robyn, it's always fun time talking with you. And thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, I will share this video on Facebook. You'll be tagged in it. But I'm going to wait for you to send me some of those sample images. Okay. So send those over to me. And once I get that, I'll put it all together.
Right on it.
All right.
And I'm going to interview you next. You and Josh.
Well, we have to get Josh on here. But yeah, there's going to be a time where we're going to flip the script and it's going to be learned about the MC and the DJ. So
yes. Best in town.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. All right. So just send that stuff over to me and we'll let everybody else on Facebook know what Robyn Barkley is all about.
Thanks so much.
All right. Take care. Bye.